Hello, sweet peaches. How are you? It is Tuesday, June 10th, 2025. It is 9:26 p.m. and I wanted to just talk a little bit about my thoughts on Karen Read and the case, the trial. So, I'm over it. I am so fed up. I actually can't even bear to listen anymore. I tried to watch today and I ended up like fast forwarding through most of it. I just, as Judge Cannoni said, the juries are. I am weary. I am beyond convinced that she hit him with her vehicle. She left him there. She knew it or figured it out at some point and then decided after telling David Yennetti, I might have hit him. If I hit him, what would that mean? And he said, then you will be culpable. And then that flip-flopped 180 into, oh, well, he got in the house and everybody else did it. It was them, not me. So I did a video a day or two ago, and I have been pretty lucky as far as, like, I have not had any trolls. Really, like, I would say just like a handful of comments from the pro Karen Read lovers, the trolls, the bots. And this one particular video that I put out got a lot of hate. I put the video out yesterday, and it's titled, Karen Read Still Guilty, IMO, in my opinion. Astroturfing campaign gets stronger as interest in trial diminishes. And for some unknown reason, well, the reason probably being that video actually got 787 views at this point, which for me, honestly, is huge. Most of my videos get, 50, 60, 100 views, 30 views, 90 views, 22 views, 81 views. So I am a small channel. I have a small subscriber base. I really appreciate you guys so much. I have some very loyal, kind, lovable people, Jimbo and Paula, and some other people who have consistently followed me, Stefan, and you followed me for a year or longer, and you've been here, and I so appreciate you. And I do not talk about salacious rumors. I don't spin off to online gossip. I talk about mostly, my main gist that I talk about on my channel is healing from trauma, learning to love yourself through the process of learning to like yourself. And I talk about various cases that interest me for whatever reason, but I like to always bring it back to talking about healing from trauma and learning to like yourself. So with Karen Read, I have said so many times, that was me cracking my knuckles, by the way. I have said so many times, God, if she had just stuck with the facts, ma'am, if she had just leaned into the truth, if she had pushed really hard into it was an accident, I had no idea, I thought I saw him go inside, I didn't realize it was somebody else, it was dark, it was a blizzard, my tummy hurt, I had to rush home. Yeah, I was kind of jealous and mad at him, but I had no idea, but it's too late for that now. So I really also wanted to comment. Well, first of all, I want to just cover about today. And as I've said multiple times, I am biased. I do believe that the prosecution has proven their case beyond a reasonable doubt. I do believe that the defense are kind of crooked, maybe a little corrupt, definitely sleazebaggy kind of people. And they are desperately advocating for their client who is guilty as a motherfucker. And I also know for a fact that Turtle Boy spearheaded an astroturfing campaign and, gathered up, what's the word? Okay, mobilized and energized, activated, Holy Spirit, activate, stimulated, vitalized. He increased the activity and the enthusiasm and lies. Oh, I wanted to say this. I know exactly what happened. The defense case is this. Well, let's see. Colin Albert, the 17-year-old at the time, he killed John because John knew that he was doing drugs. But then Brian Higgins came and killed John because Brian Higgins was a jealous, raging lunatic. That's why he killed. But then Brian Albert killed John because John found out about some corruption within the cops. So they all had different motives and different reasons, but they all somehow just killed him. And then Jen McCabe brilliantly decided, hey, since you all just killed him separately and for different reasons, why don't we drag his dead body, or maybe half dead body, and throw him on the lawn? Because I saw Karen Reed drop him right there, and I am going to subliminally get her to say that she did it, and then we're going to frame him. And then Michael Proctor, who didn't really know them, he got the genius idea. I'm going to frame Karen Reed. Somehow he knew, or I guess, no, Jen told him. We're framing her. And then he broke her taillight into multiple pieces. He took some large chunks and he got it all up in that 21 inches of snow, and he dug it all up under there, and then he smoothed it out so it looked really perfect so nobody could know that. And then he took some microscopic pieces and he smashed it into John's shirt, and he got little holes right in the exact spots. Some people think that he just took John's clothes and chucked them in a bag, and then took the bag and went to the tail light and was smash, 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 and let me just grind that all up and put that in a blender, and because yeah. Who else? Oh, and then Carrie Roberts is just a complete ninny, I guess, and so she's in on it strictly because Jen McCabe told her, and so she has no mind of her own. She's basically just a brainwashed shill of Jen McCabe, so that's why she lied about it, okay? And then who else is all in it? And then, Julie Nagel and Sarah Levinson, they were cool with it. They were like, oh, you guys just killed that dude. That's cool. I'm just going to lie about it for you. No problem. Oh, and then the EMTs. So, Jen is this cold-blooded mastermind. So when Karen and her and Carrie got to the lawn, Jen had the plan, So Karen is going crazy, screaming and stuff, trying to save John because she had no idea that he would be right where she left him. And Jen was like, you hit him, Karen. And then Karen was like, oh, I hit him. Oh, can I hit him? And she's running around and telling people, because Jen subliminally implanted the idea in her head. Maybe while she was Googling how long to die in this cold, she also was subliminally, into Karen's mind. Okay. Who else was all involved with that? Somehow they told so while Karen was running around like a lunatic and they were trying to assess if John was dead or not and if they could save him, Jen is calling 911, all cold, and like, there's a dead guy out here. And then she went over to Katie McLaughlin, and then she says to Katie, Karen hit him, Karen hit him, Karen hit him. And she's just like, what? Okay, that's what we're going to do. All right, fine. Like, I knew that girl who lived in that house. We were like friends of friends. So I'm totally down to like frame an innocent woman to cover up a murder because, we went to school together. We were on Facebook friends. Of course I will cover up a murder. So believable. And then what else? Oh yeah. Like, how did he get in the house? And he was killed in the basement, by the way. Oh, but he was also killed in the garage. So there's that, And and then the dog bit him, didn't kill him. So somewhere along the way of this whole, like, he was literally killed like 3 separate times by like 3 separate people. It's kind of like Clue, except everybody did it. Except Karen. But bump. And that, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, is what happened that night. Or an alternative, very highly unlikely, very sus alternative is that Karen Reed was already jealous and unhinged and angry at John, and he was pretty fed up with the relationship, and they were arguing. Well, really, to be honest, she was arguing at him all day because he kept saying, please stop, please stop, please stop calling me, please stop texting, I'll see you later. It was also obvious from those texts that he might not have been completely ready to break up with her because he was still like, I thought you were going to spend the weekend. And it seemed like, he still wanted to be with her, but he wasn't really happy with how things were going. He wasn't completely throwing in the towel, and he wanted her to like cool off. Okay, a little pause. And now it's 9:53. I'm going to turn this off. It's going to get dark and I'm gonna get eye sockets, but it's okay. I just want to protect my eyeballs. So I want to continue a little bit with my thoughts, which were, I forgot what I was saying, but I started to research what astroturfing is. The first time I heard the phrase was when I heard it being used against Ryan Reynolds. By the way, I think Justin Baldoni's case was dismissed. And from what I saw, he can resubmit it, amended. I have really stopped following that at the moment. I might pick it back up. I might not. I don't know. I just got so drained because there was just so much obvious corruption happening. Rich bitch, white bitch, privilege. It's not even privilege. It's just... it's like kind of with Karen Reed. Is it privilege or is it just this absolute bending over backwards, twisting into pretzels, making every excuse? When we talk about reasonable doubt, reasonable means something within reason.
Person having sound judgment, fair and sensible.
Reasonable.
Of a person having sound judgment, fair and sensible, as much as is appropriate or fair, moderate. Fairly good, average. Okay. Then doubt. Define doubt.
Doubt.
A feeling of uncertainty or a lack of conviction. To be afraid. To be uncertain about. The true meaning of doubt open to question, feeling uncertain about something, unsure, unconfirmed, unknown, unsettled, undecided, moot, unresolved, debatable, open to debate, pending, up in the air, confused, problematic, ambiguous, iffy. The opposite is settled, feeling certain about something. And at this point, it is my opinion that to pretend that it is reasonable, that it's using good judgment, that it's fair or practical to believe that because Trooper Michael Proctor, former Trooper Michael Proctor, had said bad stuff in text messages about how much he hated Karen because he thought she killed a cop, that he would frame her, that he would break a taillight, that he would sprinkle bay it on the lawn, that he would crunch it up with the dead man's clothing, and that somehow he would get all the cops and all the EMTs on board to go along with the cover-up of a murder of a man. That's right. I think I was talking about what the alternative theory. So there was the theory by the... So it's not the theory of the defense, because the defense doesn't really have a theory. Last time, the first trial, their theory was Brian Higgins was jealous and Jen McCabe was being loyal to her family, even though Brian Higgins is not her family. And that, like, they didn't really have, that's what, like, the story that I just told with, like, all these different people killed this man for different reasons. It's not real, like, it's not really the defense's story. It's not as if they've come in and they've said, they did this, these people did this, they dragged him to the basement, they beat him with this item, they dragged him back upstairs and out onto the lawn, and here is the evidence. And it's like the problem with the people who believe that Karen Read is innocent thing is the problem with the theory, in my opinion, is that the theory hinges on there's no evidence of anything because they hid it all. They were all so good, so amazing, so perfected at what they did. And literally every single person who could have found any evidence of it was intentionally hiding and lying and stuff. And so there's no real defense. Like, if you actually believe that, which is to me psycho or you're grifting, like with the lawyers on YouTube who are totally buying into this theory, yucking it up, expanding it out, magnifying it, talking it, like every little detail of minute microscopic information that they can blow up into this conspiracy theory of, like, a bunch of different people killed this man for a bunch of different reasons, all simultaneously at the same exact moment. And then 60, 70 people all just spontaneously agreed to cover it up, to hide all the evidence, to pin it all on this one innocent woman who had no reason to, like, why did they hate her so much? Why did all these people put their whole life in danger and in jeopardy? They're just so blatantly, casually corrupt. All these people, these first responders, these doctors, these forensic scientists, the EMT and the cops. Yeah, cops can be corrupt, and I know that cops often do a lot of bad things. That is true. But where's the evidence? So anyway, my YouTube channel, I got that one video that was getting views, which is nice. And with the fact that these people left all these comments, ultimately it's just you just added to the engagement of my channel, boosting my video, thank you. But what's really sad is that the comments are, let's see, I'll read my own comment. The comments that some of these people left are just ridiculous. LOL. Obvious that they got nothing but personal insults. And then I added an edit and hatred. Disgusting comments from killer lovers. Again, these comments are a perfect example of how people who bought into a lie thrash, kick, scream, and insult because they've got no facts to back them up. Immature bullies. And it's sad to me that this case has been taken over by this, but in fact, in my belief, it was bought and paid for by Karen Reed and her team. Did Karen Reed personally come up with the idea of astroturfing? Probably not. Probably Alan Jackson was the one who said, you know what? We can hire a YouTube creator who already has somewhat of a little following, and his whole spiel was, oh, I love to point out corruption, which, hey, that's great if that's what you're actually doing. The problem is that when you're corrupt, it's kind of hypocritical. So it seems to me from the things that I've learned that allegedly and potentially there was a very intentional push. The whole free Karen Reed campaign was not an organic movement that was born out of a genuine belief in this person's innocence and a caring about her as a person, a knowing of like, this is a really good person, aka Justin Baldoni or Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp suffered for like 6 years with a lot of people believing Amber Heard's lies. And many people like me, I wasn't really following it that closely. I didn't really know what was happening. And then, as the trial went on and evidence came out, more and more people started to know and believe that Johnny Depp was an innocent victim of a very histrionic personality disorder, borderline personality, abusive person. A young, beautiful, blonde sex symbol. And with Justin Baldoni, he also had, I was one of his fans, not like a fanatical fan, but just like, oh yeah, I watched Jane the Virgin and I really loved him in that. And I didn't watch his other stuff. I was just like, oh, I like him. He's a cool dude, But I don't know people like that. Like, how many times have we loved a celebrity only to find out that they're a fucking a rapist, okay? Or whatever. So when Blake Lively came out with that bullshit, I mean, I already liked him enough, and I already thought she was a terrible person, that my first instinct when I saw the headline about Blake Lively accuses Justin Baldoni of sexual harassment, and I screamed out, I know you fucking lying. I didn't believe that shit from the second. Unlike many people who were like, oh, I believed her. I didn't believe her. And hopefully he will find justice, because the case has been dismissed. It's been going back and forth with tons and tons. I still get the court listener notifications. So every single day I see lots of files coming through, and I take a very quick glance at, just the headline of it. But I haven't been following. I've been trying to work, earn money, earn a living. And I've been following Karen Reed. But now, as I was saying in the beginning of the video, I'm like over it. I'm like fast forwarding. Well, I did that as if I have a remote. I'm like, la, 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 la. Or on my, or just like, I don't have the stomach to sit there and listen to bullshit. And I'm not in the jury. I'm not forced to sit there and listen to every witness. And it's like, part of it is I have grown weary and I'm fed up. I'm like, how much bullshit are you going to try to feed these people to try to get this woman off when she could have just simply admitted, as I was saying, the night of, she should have stayed her ass in the hospital and boo-hoo-hooed her motherfucking eyes into a plea deal. But instead, she had to go this route, which is so psycho to me. And I believe, I was listening to Tony Bruschi. Who's the man he talks to sometimes? Okay, former FBI counterintelligence chief Robin Dreeke. Is that the one? I think that's who it is. Saying he doesn't think it's going to be a hung jury this time. He thinks that the prosecution has done a much better job of putting out the facts and listing out a clear, understandable story. And that's what I feel. That so we've got prosecution version. Karen was having issues. Karen and John were having issues. Karen was kind of aggressive. Karen was trying to cheat. Now, they didn't bring in the Aruba witnesses to talk about how Karen was like, fuck you, to the sister when she saw John and her greeting each other. Not sexually, not making out. And that was her way of greeting her. Fuck you! And then there was the text message from Brian Higgins where, no, fuck, that didn't come in. Shit, that didn't come in either. Because when Brian Higgins testified, he said the joke about, hey, it's Weed Whacker, was that the way they met, well, not met, like they knew each other through the fact that he was friends with John and they had been dating. But the thing that had happened that sparked her desire, I guess, to get his number and start texting, well, that was actually what happened in Aruba. But it's like, they have to bring this in. How are they not going to bring that in? Because that is part of why, in my mind, part of the motive of why John is dead. Why she killed him. Not that, like, she was like, I'm going to kill you, motherfucker, because of Aruba. But why she was so enraged and jealous and reckless and angry when the thing in Aruba happened and she thought or misperceived or on purpose took it the wrong way. It was just genuinely such an unhinged, like, borderline personality person that just seeing John hugging a young, attractive person and being close and friendly made her so enraged that she was jealous. And then when they came back from Aruba, they left early because of fighting with the daughter had testified to in the first trial. Again, they didn't bring this in, which is crazy to me, because this is a big part of the motive. Karen was jealous. She saw John happy and being friendly and affectionate with other people, and they were probably struggle busing it for so long because she's a fucking psycho. And who knows what kind of personality he had. He was a cop. He was a busy dad. He had a lot of things it seemed like he was taking care of and taking on. And, there was sports and there was whatever. And, like, I don't know what his temperament was. I haven't seen anything except like one black and gray or white and gray video and him looking kind and loving and all the things that people have said about him that made him seem like a nice person. But, I'm sure he was a decent person and definitely didn't deserve anything that happened to him. But anyway, so there's the one version. Things weren't going well for them. She got jealous at Aruba. When they came back within less than 2 weeks, by January 12th, she was starting to text Brian Higgins, which he said when he was driving by one day and he saw her out there weed whacking, and he stopped to say hi, and she was, "Get the fuck away from me. My husband's a Boston cop." But he was like, okay, like he knew her, so he's like, she obviously didn't recognize me, so he rolls down his window or pulls up, whatever. And then, you know, she saw it was him. And then she starts texting him, like, immediately trying to get busy, like, sex, like, off the bat. And he was suspicious, and he's like, what's going on? And, okay, and then that night, we'll start at the day, she was mad because he said something, he was mad at her or annoyed with her for buying something for the kids or whatever. And it seemed perfectly reasonable to me what he said about basically a lot of people get them stuff because they're orphans and they feel bad. And so he always ends up having to be the bad guy. And he didn't want to have to do that with her too. But she made it about her. Then he's like, please stop texting me now. I'm with the kid. Non-stop texting, call, text, call, text. That is harassment. That is abuse. That is somebody who doesn't know how to say no. Somebody who doesn't know how to stop when they're told no. Somebody who has no respect for boundaries. Somebody who has no self-awareness at all. Somebody who is aggressive, intense. Someone who is unhinged. And this continues all day and all night. And finally they end up together at this bar. And they're having a good time. Good for you. Doesn't change the fact that you were a fucking lunatic all day. Then they are invited back to a house. First of all, Karen is jealous of Jen McCabe and her friendship with John. She's jealous of Carrie. Carrie wasn't there. So this is Jen McCabe's sister. And it's like she doesn't want to go there because Brian Higgins is going to go there. It's going to be like 6 adults sitting around a table. That's awkward as fuck when you know that you've been trying to fuck the guy across the table for the past, so it was the 29th. Brian said that it was like 12 days, but they had only actually texted for 9 of those days, and it wasn't every single day. So for the past, like, less than 2 weeks, you've been trying to fuck this guy, and you're going to go sit across the table with your boyfriend right there. Wonder why she didn't want to go inside, folks. Why would John be enraged and jealous? He was probably clueless. And why would Brian Higgins want to blow up his entire friend group? He's at a friend's house on that friend's kid's birthday. It's family, it's wholesome, we're just going to hang out. Why would he start murdering someone? Why would he assume that those cops, those first responders, those 20-something-year-olds, those teenagers, why would he assume they got my back? I'm going to literally beat this man to death because I'm jealous. I'm in a jealous rage over a fucking girl, and I'm going to beat him to death, and they're cool with it. Oh, Colin Albert's like, yeah, let's kill him because I'm a drug user or a seller or whatever, and he knows. And Brian Albert's like, yeah, let's kill him because we're all corrupt and he knows it. So they all have various reasons, and then they all agreed to say he never came in the house. Tell him the guy never came in the house. Exactly. Does that sound like something that someone is saying because it's true and the other one is confirming? Exactly. Or does it sound like a conspiracy theory? It's insane to me. And I am so weary. And like I said, I could not bear to listen to that old lady who was huffing and puffing for her life. And it's like, okay, you got 40 plus years of experience. Great. You know, a lot of people lie. And it's like, yet again, here we have this old lady, like, even if you could prove beyond any doubt that those were dog bites, that doesn't change the fact that the man was hit by an SUV. And left on the lawn to die outside in the cold, where he died of blunt force trauma to the head and hyperthermia. And there was taillight pieces embedded in his clothing. There were pieces of taillight embedded in the snow all around his body that took a couple of weeks to fucking get out. He had a cracked skull. And like, these people are like, there's no evidence. Okay, delusional. Oh, and then this one person was like, sounds like you've never seen a dog bite in your life. I'm like, well, actually, I haven't. But it doesn't fucking matter because there was no dog DNA. And so another thing about these astroturfing people. Oh, I wanted to say real quick before I end the video. With astroturfing, there is the bot farms. Then there are the sock puppet accounts. And then there are real people who knowingly or are just so naive, gullible, so unknowingly are soft, what was the word? Like, it's like they are pushing a very untrue narrative, which is basically the astroturfing campaign talking points, the defense talking points. They're pushing it, but they just are not aware. Like they drank the Kool-Aid. They believe the conspiracy. And a lot of times those people are not that intelligent, but they want to be. And it's like, those are the people who, you know, they even have a good heart, or they have good intentions, you know. Maybe, you know, you're the kind of person who you get duped. Like my sister used to be friends with this woman who somehow this stranger gave her this sob story and ended up taking her to the ATM and getting $800. It's like she was totally scammed. And at the time she was like telling my sister like, oh my God, this boo-hoo-hoo story. And my sister's like, wait, what? You did what? You gave them what? And then the friend is like, wait, do you think it was a scam? Yeah, I think it was a scam. And then, you know, so with, like, how I feel with the with the Karen Reed trial is, it was obvious to me last year she was guilty, but I didn't feel that they explained it as well as I felt it should be. But then, you know, at the same time, I was listening a lot to lawyers on YouTube. And on one hand, while it's cool to listen to the lawyers on YouTube because you can get this like legal nuance, this commentary, you also get a lot of bias, and you can be influenced heavily by what they are saying. And if you don't know, if you don't understand, and you're just drawn in to the drama and the emotion of it, and like, oh, it sounds so salacious. Oh my God, it's so entertaining. And oh my God, she's innocent. And these lawyers are saying that. And it's like, they literally get paid to have this wild going chat and super chats. And like, I would love to be able to make $200,000 a year with my YouTube channel, you know. But when you just talk with facts, and you talk about, like, when you talk about healing from trauma and doing the work, getting down to the nitty gritty and learning to acknowledge, like, no, you cannot manifest anything you want to, and no, you cannot manifest anybody you want to, and yes, circumstances matter, and your trauma may actually fucking hold you back, and you can do anything you want to, but within limits, and you probably can't do anything you want to, and you probably can't become a multimillionaire overnight, or maybe not ever, and maybe you can, maybe you can't. A lot of it has to do with what you put into it, but then there's a lot of shit that goes into this world, that goes into business, that goes into systemic racism, and goes into all the things that you may not have any control over, that are going to be hurdles, barriers, challenges, fucking brick walls, etc. There are all kinds of ways and reasons why people are limited. People's understanding is limited. People's ability to grow is limited. And people's ability to understand complex situations and to genuinely weigh the evidence, look at it without all the emotion, and make a reasonable, honest decision or conclusion, that is not common. And people 99% of the time prefer instant gratification, salacious, sexual gratification, drama, gossip, extremes, fanaticism. They're not going to listen to the nuanced, reasoned, actual analysis. It's so much easier for many people to just jump on a video, read the title, and make a nasty comment. I noticed that except for like 2 people, all those nasty comments that came yesterday, they were personal attacks. It's not really personal because you don't fucking know me, but it's like you're trying to attack me personally, put me down, insult me, talk about my looks, talk about my intelligence, talk about my sanity, talk about my drug use or made up, basically try to make it seem like I have no character. But it's like, you don't even know me and you probably didn't even watch the video. But anyway, it's like talking to a brick wall. When someone is dug in and they're dead set on their belief and they're locked into that, it's like every single thing that they see is just, for them, it's additional evidence that they're right. Like I said, every piece of evidence that's brought forth is a lie. And I do kind of feel that way about the defense. So at least I can acknowledge, I think like Dr. Wolf and Dr. Andrew Rentschler, I'm sure they're like intelligent and they know what they're doing on some level. But Hank Brennan showed, and anybody could know, that just slightly shifting numbers here or there, you can come out with a variety of outcomes. And like Dr. Welcher said, the prosecution witness, it's not a good idea to do a reenactment like that, like Dr. Wolf did, because there's a lot of variety of how it could have happened. And he said so clearly, we don't exactly know where he was standing, what direction he was going in. We don't even know where in that exact, the data stream of her car showed that, yes, he was definitely hit. He was hit at this time. This is where he was found. But he was saying it's really hard without knowing several important pieces of data to recreate exactly perfectly, although Dr. Wolf quite managed to do it, to show how he could have been struck exactly how he was struck. It's kind of like asking somebody to be a mind reader and a magician and all this stuff. And I think with what he had, the information that he had, her Lexus data stream and John's cell phone data and the Waze data and his body and eyewitness testimony and all of the research and the evidence, really painted a very strong picture. Karen was pissed. Karen was unhinged. Karen was drunk. Karen didn't want to go to the party where the guy she was trying to cheat on her boyfriend was. John wanted to go to the party where the guy that Karen was trying to cheat on him was, which he probably didn't know. John got out of the car to go to the party. Karen decided, no, you're not getting in that fucking party. No matter what I gotta do, I'm making sure, bitch, you're not getting in. He didn't get in. She went home. Next few hours, she called some people, screaming like a lunatic. What do you guys think about that? Why was Karen screaming like a lunatic, saying John was dead, saying John was missing? Wouldn't she think if they had an argument and he went to his friend's house to drink and it was after midnight and there was a blizzard, wouldn't it only make sense for any reasonable person to assume he didn't come home, he was pissed, he stayed there to sleep it off? I mean, wasn't the one boy was sleeping at a friend's house and he probably, like if you were a reasonable person, you would probably assume he thought, why would Karen drive half hour wherever to her house in Mansfield in a blizzard when his house was 4 to 6 minutes away? We don't know what they said. We don't know what they talked about. We don't know what their understanding was. If you thought that they had a regular conversation, okay, babe, go to the party. I'm going home. I'll see you later. Why would she be so unhinged and so insanely scared and cringe? Why? Why was she acting like that? That's the thing. Oh, I was saying the 3 levels of the bots. This is just some kind of like plastic thing that was on. What did I buy that had these little covers? I don't know. I'm just playing with it, fidgeting with these little things. So yeah, I'm pretty much over it. I mean, like, I'm going to watch a little bit. I'm going to fast forward through it. I'm listening to Tony Bruschi for the highlights and the lowlights. And I've given up on those lawyers that are so... the three levels of astroturfing. So there's bot farms. How can you tell if somebody who's commenting on your on a video or commenting at you, how can you tell if it's a bot farm, not a real person? Well, they're not responsive to your comment. So if somebody's like adding you, like, at you and saying something, and then you reply and then they respond back, you can tell it's a bot if they do not change their comment, or like they're not responsive to anything you say. They just keep coming back with slogans or with talking points or with defense talking points or with some kind of statement that seems like maybe a person wrote it, but it has nothing to do with you, with what you said, and there's genuinely no like actual engagement. It's just repeating. That's probably a bot. Bots can at people. Then there's sock puppet accounts. Sock puppets are one person who has created multiple accounts that they comment from to make it seem like there's much more engagement and there's more users and more people who are, on the side of the cause. Those people can be paid, who are actually paid part of the campaign, who are doing it, and maybe they're kind of professional about it, and maybe they have God knows how many accounts, and it could even be like a sock puppet farm where you've got multiple people, whether they're doing it in the same place or in their own individual, work from home, and they're getting paid and they're doing it and they're very active, and they it's literally their job to sit there all day on the live streams. For example, Court TV has been putting members only chats, but you can see that, and yes, because it's a paid for campaign, they do invest some money and they will pay for memberships. They'll pay for super chats. They'll pay so that their message and their talking points seem more legitimate, get more coverage, are highlighted on the screen, and more people start to believe in it, which then brings you to the third category, of the people who are involved in an astroturfing campaign. And those are gullible motherfuckers. People looking for a cause. People who maybe they had some legitimate doubt. They can be fence riders. People who never choose a side. People who are indecisive. People who like to proclaim themselves as neutral when they really are surfing the fence. They are indecisive. They refuse to take a side. They have no confidence. They might think they're non-confrontational, but what they actually are spineless. And they are just, now there's something about being discerning and having discernment where you want to be decisive and you want to have the confidence to say, this is what I believe, but you also need to have the ability to take that long liminal pause, live in that bardo, be comfortable with uncertainty, being okay with not knowing. And there's a difference between being a fence rider, the fence humper, who you make it a lifestyle to never really choose, and you make people around you choose for you through your inaction, your indecision, your unwillingness to commit, or you're just on the wall or on the fence. So people come into your life, they leave your life, you get left behind, and then you whine about it, and you're like, she just left me like out of nowhere. No, bitch, you were fucking humping the fence for the whole entire relationship, and she fucking got fed up and left. You get jobs that pass you by. You're the person you've been in the job for 10 years, but you see everybody coming in and getting promoted and going, or they come in and they leave and you're still there. Why? Because you cannot commit. You have no self-esteem. You have no confidence. You don't have any ability to actually comprehend complex data and come to a confident knowing about it. And whether you're all of that, none of that, or some of that, these people who unwittingly become part of the campaign, and they actively campaign about it, they comment about it, they say, they push the narratives, they push those talking points, they push the slogans, and they can be some of the most active supporters. They also feel such a sense of camaraderie. You lonely fence humpers who, you're the kid that never gets picked for the team, and then you don't even play. Or if you get picked for the team, you're out there, picking your nose over there, not even paying attention. And, at least me, I wasn't picked for the team, or when I was like, I'm looking at the clouds and I'm looking at the plants and I'm writing stories and whatever, or poems. I was creative, but I was certainly not a fence humper. I was like, I don't like this. I don't want to be here. I don't like when balls fly in my face. I don't like waiting out in the fucking very hot sun, and I don't like it sitting in the dugout either. I don't want to hit the ball. I don't want to catch the ball. I don't want to run around with the ball or trying to get away from the ball. I don't like this. I was not athletic. I knew what I wanted. Okay. I've always been able to discern. People have called me opinionated, and that's fine. I also have no problem learning new stuff and being like, oh shit, I was wrong. Cool. Now I know something new. Now I know more than I did before. People who get caught up in cults or in groupthink. People who are like mob, the mob mentality. People who get hung up on an online cause that has nothing to do with them. And, they just want to be part of something. You're so lonely. You just want to be able to hold hands and kumbaya with somebody. Okay. So these are the mixture of the people. Bot farms, socket puppet farms, And lonely ass motherfucking fence humpers who finally found a cause, even though you're wrong. You're just out here for the fucking white woman crocodile tears. And can you even call it crocodile tears? Because bitch ain't shed a tear. Not nary a tear. Just a snarky ass, finger pointing, blame. It wasn't me. It was everybody but me. Drinking these. And I'm fed up and I'm bored. I am bored with you, Alan Jackson, and with Bob Yennetti's histrionic, dramatics, mistrial. Like, bitch, no, she's going to prison. She's got one more week, maybe one more weekend. Like I said, run. It's too late.